Everyone, we're going on a little field trip today, me and the Pedulla bass. And I want to give you a little background. I picked it up in 1992, brand new, at least I was told that. For a good 3 solid years, this was my main bass. I did not play any other bass. This bass was really, really special to me. First of all, it was my first real, brand new bass purchase. It was everything I wanted in a bass. At the time, I was in love with the color of it. Not so much today, but I worked so hard. I even had to put this bass on layaway to get it. So I spoke about this bass in my other video where I talk about the custom shop Fender Stratocaster. But just to give you a brief rundown, I got it when I was 18 or 19. I don't know, but I worked like you would not believe to get the money to pay for this bass. Once I put it on layaway, I worked as hard as I could to get it off of layaway as soon as possible and get it into my hands so that I could start doing quality work with other musicians, and it paid off. For the longest time, I didn't do any gig without that bass. I even ended up dropping my Mexican precision bass with the PJ setup. It had good tone, but there were some issues with the frets and stuff like that. So eventually I just went on and sold that bass. For a while, I just stuck with nothing but the Pedulla, the fretless bass. I played nothing but fretless on everything. And then 3 years into it, I ended up getting a pair of Music Man Stingray basses. I think they were either 20th or 25th anniversary Stingrays. I had a bandmate at the time. He and I played, we did multiple, honestly, we did countless studio sessions together. We played in a variety of bands, containing different styles of music together. And he hated that Pedulla bass. He hated it so much that when we went to this guitar trade show, it was kind of like everyone comes from all around the country, even around the world, I guess, and they bring their instruments there. And anyway, there's a guy there that was eyeing my Pedulla, and my friend had basically talked me into making a trade with this guy because he's like, well, if you really like that custom shop Strat, this guy will do, flat out. The guy came to me and said, look, I'll trade you, even trade for this bass. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And at the time, this is, like I said, 1995. I just didn't know any better. So I took him up on that trade. And listen, don't get me wrong, I still have that custom shop Strat today. I love it. But as you can tell, I ended up making a deal with this guy because I couldn't sleep the following night. I could not sleep. I was like, oh, what have I done? Gear is one thing. I don't really lament the loss of any amplification that I have once had. I just don't. I understand that it can be very custom tailored to your sound, but to me, it's not like a bass, it's not like an instrument. You can't really replace a bass. Basses are like living things to me. Instruments are like living things, whereas the amplification it's kind of like a car. You're not going to keep the same car for the rest of your life. This is a weird analogy, but being someone who goes through a lot of vehicles because I drive for a living, once I'm done with a car, it's over, and I move on to the next car. And I feel like amplifiers are the same way, but instruments are not. Instruments, I can forever look at that bass and say, wow, I went into my first studio recording with this Pedulla bass, and no one can ever take that away from me. As long as I look at that thing, I'll think what the memories I have with it, the recordings I did with it, all the gigs I played with it. It's a special instrument to me. And to some degree, I felt that way about the Stingrays, but I foolishly let those go because I was around someone who honestly did not value instruments or gear the way I do. Because, not to knock him, he's very accomplished these days. I'm not going to name drop here, but he never really had to, and I say this lightly because you never know, it's a small world, he could see this, but he just didn't have the same relationship with material things that I had. He just didn't have to get out there and work for his stuff. So, you know, and it's understandable that he would not have this big attachment to pretty much any of his. He has this one guitar that I'm happy to see that he is still playing today. He actually was the one who picked up my 1966 P bass and brought it to me while we were in the studio, and we ended up re-recording all the bass lines for that recording because we fell in love with the sound of that bass so much. But he still has that guitar today, and I'm happy to see that he still has that Telecaster. It's quite a guitar. It's very unique. It's kind of got that Frankensteinish look to it. So anyway, now this has become a long story, but the Pedulla, once I got it back, and it was pretty clear that he was going to battle me every step of the way as long as I tried to use this bass primarily, I ended up just putting it in the case and leaving it alone. But before I did that, I took it to a tech, a reputable guitar tech in town, and I had him take the Bartolini pickups, and I'm finally getting to the point of this video. Had him take the Bartolini pickups out of the Pedulla and put in EMGs. Big mistake. It did not go well at all. It was a total disaster in every way. I mean, like tonally, it was a total train wreck. And I went back to him and said, please put everything back to the way it was. Put it back. I made a mistake, whatever. And he did. Well, he put everything back the way it was, and then I still put it away and just focused on, whenever I played fretless, I played my Music Man Stingray fretless, and I just forgot all about my Pedulla. I put it in the case and put it away, vowed never to get rid of it, but just to keep it in the case until a later date. Well, if you can believe it, that thing sat in a case. For the most part, it sat in the case and it did not get used for 15 years. And when I started playing with this band again, or this band that I was playing with at the time, they embraced the look of the bass, they embraced the style of that bass, the sound of it. They were very supportive, and it was nice to be in a band with people where they weren't like saying, oh God, those boutique basses are cheesy. And it was really a relief to be, I felt like I'd come full circle with the instrument. So I started playing it all the time and working with it a lot. And then we were playing this gig at this club. It was really popular for jazz. And we're playing, and all of a sudden I hear this crackling and static and everything. And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? And I ended up having to unplug the bass and play through. So it was kind of a disaster because I was really, it was just really not good. So what ended up happening is I got frustrated with the bass because I could not get rid of this. I took it to about 3 different techs, or maybe even 4, before finally giving up and saying, I can't get the electronics right on this bass. I give up. I'm just gonna have to play something else. And I got another fretless Music Man Stingray sub bass, and it was okay. It's not great. Actually, I really don't enjoy playing it that much. All right, so the point to this video is I am going to give the Pedulla another shot. I'm going to give, focusing on that as my primary bass, another shot. After literally nearly 30 years, I am going to give this thing a shot again and see if I can make it my primary bass. But in order to do that, I've got to get the electronics straight. I've been told to go back to Atlanta Discount Music. Bartolini says that they have a guy there that can take care of me. But before I do that, I'm going to stop by Old Faithful here, Guitar Center, play it through a few amps, let you guys hear how it sounds through some of the more popular amps like the Ampeg Rocket Bass series, maybe a Mark bass, and acoustic, which I am working on picking up right now and adding that to my amplification. Enjoy. All right, so playing through the Rocket Bass. And I've got the volume all the way up and all the other knobs halfway on the Bartolinis.
So right now our computer's still.
static from the tone. But as you can hear, the static is pretty distracting. And just so you know, it's this knob. So you turn that off, and that's your tone. So with the tone turned all the way down, you don't really hear the static as much. And then here's your blend, and this is the main one that was causing a lot of static as well. But I've somehow managed to work that out just by opening it up and just twiddling with it a little bit. So with the tone turned all the way off, it has the sound that I kind of like, but it may not cut through as well on a recording. So you can pretty much hear it through, I mean, you're hearing it through the Ampeg Rocket Bass. This is the 115. Sounds good, but I'm gonna leave this configuration just like this. So volume's all the way up, bass is all the way up, tone is all the way down, blend is all the way, actually I think, okay. So I believe this is both pickups right now when I have it halfway, of course. And sorry, not an expert on electronics here, but now I'm gonna try it through the Rumble. All right, now we're playing through the Rumble 100, and this one has a 112 speaker. This is a 112 combo amp, and you're gonna hear right now that it sounds pretty close. Same volume, tone, balance, all. I mean, you know, I always set my, I typically set my knobs a little bit, pretty much past, let's just say I put everything on about 7, okay? And no effects or anything like that, no, you know, ultra high or low. I'm just playing straight through the pickups, clean, and I've just got everything set at a, you know, a respectable volume, not super loud.
Is this the stuff you're trading? Okay. Yeah. so I'll have one of my sales associates get you going on that,
there you go. It's, static is coming back. It's kind of annoying. Moving on to the acoustic. All right. This is the acoustic. The static is getting worse, so I'm going to make it quick. Personally, I think the acoustic sounds the best. I'm not going to try out the Mark bass because it's not really in that price line, but there is one more amp that I'm going to show to you. Give me just a moment.
Okay, great.